Hi, welcome back to the Crossroads Calligraphy YouTube channel. My name is Renee, and today I'm sharing a little bitty affirmations book that I made. So I made this, I think at beginning of May, end of April, and around the time when I was putting this together, um, my younger son and the varsity volleyball team were doing the ice bucket challenge to raise awareness for mental health. Um, and so I was thinking, like, well, it's probably a good time to share a little bit about this book. So it currently lives on my art desk, and this is where I kind of start my morning and then take a break and do other things. But I read it almost every day and kind of sit with it for a moment. So I'm going to go ahead and flip the camera and read it for you, and then come back and talk a little bit more about it.
My healing affirmations. The purpose of my life is to experience wholeness. My needs and desires are important. I can have whatever I want. I am imaginative, intelligent, compassionate. I can trust others. I am committed to being nurtured and supported.
So without going into much detail, toward the beginning of the year, I was looking over business plans that I'd made for 2025 and noticing how I was reacting to these plans emotionally and energetically. Like they're detailed plans, they're very exciting, there's dates with them, it's very methodical, but I just felt completely buried and as if there was no way that I could have the energy or the wherewithal to complete these things. And I was also kind of noticing thoughts coming up about how I felt about myself in relation to the business and other things. So I started rereading a self-help book that I read 2 years ago called Worthy by Nancy Levin, and just journaling. And I started being honest with some things. I started being honest and realized that maybe at this point I could start talking with a professional. Like, I'm 40 years old and have kind of thought about counseling, but it wasn't accessible to me. And I didn't think that some of these things that happened a while ago had any bearing on my day-to-day life. So through my workplace at the time, we got 8 counseling sessions just included with working there. So that's between that and the book that I was reading and all the journaling I was doing, I was uncovering a lot of unconscious beliefs that were very powerful and prevented me from doing really anything that I really deeply wanted to do. So once I kind of boiled those beliefs down into about maybe 5 to 7 of them, I created affirmations. Not an opposite, like I worked with those beliefs and really explored them and just kind of unpacked them. And so that's where I was able to kind of distill and create these affirmations. And I'm a spatial thinker about some things, and I keep some things on my desk. So having like a little handmade thing for me to read through helps. It helps me. So that's where the book came from. And then also, just for if we're talking about mental health awareness, I think there's a couple other things that should be addressed. I already mentioned accessibility. And so the self-help books I didn't even buy. There's an app called Libby that I'll link in the description, where if you have a public library card, you can check out books electronically through this app for free. Like, it's public service. So that's how I have been reading a few of these. They have audiobooks available too if reading's not accessible. So so there's that resource. And then I just also want to mention, like, the kind of stigma. Not everyone thinks that going to a counselor is accessible or important. Not everyone can make time in their life depending on what fills it up. Like, there's different socioeconomic factors that are a real block to this kind of health. There's also healthcare. Not everyone has access to healthcare, and then also money. Maybe you have healthcare, but it's still difficult. So I just want to acknowledge those things within the conversation of mental health, and then also to address that we tend to look at mental health as an individual concern, like that's your problem, or you have issues, or however we want to frame it. And so, like, yes, it's an individual thing, but we don't live solitary lives. We're raised in community. We grow in community. So these individual issues are shared in a smaller scale and larger as we go out. And then as we go out, those kinds of factors come back in. So we kind of also see that in, like, the manifestation content online, where people say, like, just raise your vibration, just surround yourself with things that you want more of. And that's productive to some degree, but I personally have, like, a lot of wonderful things about me, and I had to undo and explore those powerful blockages that won't allow that in. Doesn't matter how close it is to you. If you've built protective barriers against letting things in, then you're not going to have the access to the things that you really want. So seeing those, like, difficulties in my business and starting to deal with those, I realized that they touch other areas of my life. They touch people in my life. They touch systems, and they go in and out. Now, lastly, I just want to add that healing, in my experience, and maybe yours too, has been cyclical. So, like, some things don't go away, but as we come back to these same memories, dynamics, issues, what changes is us and our relationship to these dynamics. And it's not that healing something is like that you put it down and you're never going to have to face it again, or it's never going to be present, like it's part of our lived experience. But healing is like, just, it changes our relationship to ourselves and to the way that we can show up in situation. So and then also, healing isn't just journaling and talk therapy. It can be somatic. A lot of these experiences live in the body. So exercise, even taking a walk, drinking enough water daily, eating nourishing foods can also help to support your mental and emotional well-being. And I mean, I think to myself, am I really, really upset about this, or am I just hungry? Do I just need to lay down for a little bit? So So that's my conversation and share about mental health. Again, I'll put some things in the description for you. So take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you for some more writing and lettering next time.